this?
Yeah, this is how it was.
ESN Burwas. ESN VTH.
Okay, just wait.
Oh, we have a question. Sorry. We have a question for the contact vaccine. But the
You can jump.
okay, we saved the question for tomorrow. So, ESN Göteborg. Okay, like speak it a bit louder, please. ESN Jönköping. No. ESN Kalmar.
Yes.
ESN Karlskrona. ESN Linköping.
Yes.
ESN Luleå. No. ESN Lund.
Yes.
ESN Malmö.
Sí.
ESN Örebro. ESN Skövde.
Yes.
ESN Södertörn.
Yes.
ESN Stockholm.
Yes.
ESN Växjö.
Yes. And BTH, I didn't take a note, I don't remember.
They are not here.
They're not?
They are not here. No one. How many?
Right. Just 10.
Okay. With 10 sections present, we can start the afternoon session. Thank you very much, guys.
Yay.
And thank you for not to laugh to my pronunciation
Next time.
of your section. So, we have, following the agenda, AGM Sweden candidacy. So it will be a try of the actual candidacy that Dulcie will present during AGM. So they will have to stick with the time. Then we will have AGM Sweden follow-up, and you will have time to ask questions. So the question round will be open in the second part of the presentation. Did you like your lunch?
It was a very nice pizza.
It was a nice experience.
Does anybody know what to turn off the lights?
I think they're over there.
I mean, they're the lights. Yeah, when it's like each one takes a light off.
We don't have to do
But maybe it's pausing.
There is, you need to press the PC button, not the off or on. Yeah, but
Yeah, if you have a screen.
I tried PC, I tried HDMI, it doesn't work. One more time. Maybe give it a longer.
Give it some love.
Maybe pray.
Some love today.
So we send thoughts and prayers.
Gently press it.
Yeah, pray. Be gentle.
Maybe ask Denmark for help.
Nej.
Encourage it a bit.
Denmark, can you support us?
Denmark.
It's in Denmark. It's your fault.
The American way, just bomb the shit out of it.
No, the American way has never really worked.
I need to somehow go up it.
Okay.
Oh, it stopped blinking. Press PC.
PC.
Yes, now
Yeah.
it's doing things.
You're the PC coordinator.
What's it?
I mean, now it's at least blinking. I think we just before it was red. Now it's like, now it's green.
But I'm Asian. Always
Oh,
does.
is the light your mom? I My timing is.
What? I don't know.
Oh, my peeps can stand here.
Do you wanna?
That's like they'll see.
I knew this.
Can join.
Want to join? I think I'm going to join. After my Mondays, I'm going to join. I'm coming.
Ah! Stop moving people.
Are you coming?
This is logistically complicated.
Climbing live here. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Okay,
you can't
we're
see the
already
screen.
behind schedule, so I will be quite brief here. Yeah,
This is the
AGM
camera for
Sweden,
live stream, so
it's finally
quick.
happening. We applied. So this presentation is a bit of a trial run. We'll explore what works. It's going to be good. We have some, I think, international guests watching the stream as well, so hello. Anyhow, let's continue. So I was told this is really, oh, there it is, yeah, AGM Sweden 2020. Yes, we have, of course, since a year ago, in Costa Brava, we sat in a room and were like, hey, we should have AGM in Sweden maybe. And through the hard work of many volunteers, we finally come to that point where we sent in the application, and the reality of holding the event here in Sweden is becoming closer and closer. So of course we have a bunch of volunteers here that have been working on this on and off for the past 11 months. Yay! We even have a Danish person. No, but what my goal here to show is that we have a diverse group of volunteers that are really, really engaged and, you know, energized to hold this here in Sweden together with you guys. So our goal here is also to show a bit that, you know, even though we have a bunch of people shown on the screen, it doesn't mean that the group is finished. This is it. An event of this grasp, the biggest event in ESN probably, needs a group of dedicated volunteers doing, you know, maybe head of OC, but also we need teams that work in smaller committees. So this is a bit here, you can see shortly who is involved currently. And in the case of we getting elected at Thessaloniki, they will be followed with an open call. I saw that some former Swedish alumni people were interested in joining as well, so you shouldn't be afraid of applying at that point. So why Sweden? Why do we want this event to come here? Sweden is a leader in sustainability. We do believe here that we should be wary about not only our environment, but also the way we cherish our collaborations with companies and with other institutes. And here you can see some example. We really are a leader of having ecological food, and we do believe that we should be close to nature. And continued, wander into the wild. And as you see here now that we're in NP Karlskrona, we're not that far from quite a beautiful nature. We are close to the sea. This university, believe it or not, it looks really cool. I mean, we had Fika out there, close to the sea as well. Environmental care. Sweden is covered by forest and beautiful nature, all the way from Skåne up to Lapland, with you know, mountains. And we believe that we should take care of this environment. And the event itself has a theme that is very focused on sustainability and environmental care. So the event will focus on having certain aspects there that really do focus on this. For example, when it comes to the coffee breaks and the way we use and have the workshops, you know. Do not rush, you know, take it easy. We hope that even though Linköping could be perceived as a smaller city, we have selected venues and hotels and accommodations that are close to each other. So a 5-minute stroll through the city and you're at the main plenary. And of course, Sweden is the leader of gender equality. We're actually one of the first countries that have changed our language to be more gender equal, to be more welcoming. And of course, everyone is welcome, included. And even though we are a small country, nothing is impossible. We have a core group of really motivated volunteers. We have good collaboration with our neighboring countries. And I believe together that we do have the energy to, even though this event is so big, to see it through and make it very successful. And oh yeah, I'm expert on this stuff. So, Linköping, what about it? Yeah, it's a really cool city. It's actually ranked #1 student city in Sweden for like 3 or 4 years now. And let's continue a bit. It's a city of 26,000 students or more. It does have a lot of unique atmosphere, unique student traditions. And also, just a 10-minute walk from the main plenary, you have the old city of Linköping that has beautiful scenery that you can take postcards, pictures, and yeah. And of course, for the Italians that are watching, in Sweden you have this thing called fika. It's, you know, a coffee with some kind of biscuit or something. So if you want to ask a Swedish girl or guy for a date, you can say, hey, do you want to go on a fika with me? And of course, being a big important conference, it's also important that you feel comfortable when you had a long day. So we have provided you with excellent accommodations. And the main plenary looks like this, 1,200 capacity. It's yeah, really beautiful and quite accessible plenary room. You can put your delegation there. And you can have the info market, and we kind of went with a job fair as well there, same venue. Huge variety of rooms for the workshops. And after the day and meetings are over, you can have beautiful gala and mingle. So let's talk logistics. This is the city. 5-minute walk, 7-minute walk, 15-minute walk. 7 major airports with international connections. Yeah, Mary, what's going on over here? Anyway, so yeah, continue. 7 minutes walk. 7 major airports with international connections. Direct flight from Amsterdam to Linköping, so if you fly with KLM, and train and bus connections. Proposed fee, 230 euros. And of course, we will focus a lot on our country collaboration with our beautiful neighbors. That's it. Thank you.
Like you stick with the 8 minutes, just to let you know for the jam. So like this is the time you will have.
I will practice more with the real deal. I had a lot of things to think about past couple of weeks. But having that said, that was a trial run, mostly for me and the OC, and also for you guys to see a bit what we've done. This is the first time I think I talked about it publicly with you guys since the last MP, right? And maybe Odensen had a sneak peek as well at one point or another. Yes, the next point is a bit of follow-up, right? Question, Q&A. So I think some people were surprised that the application was sent finally, right? Which is not, I would say, surprising, because we were at that point where we were not sure, really. Do we have the human resources to pull through, and a lot of things like this. Finally, we did decide, after quite a lot of consultation with the AAT team, or the AGM advisory team, basically, that we would do it. So I want to open the floor for some Q&A, really. And don't be afraid of asking your questions, really. I really want to have feedback right now here. There will be a candidate blog at one point or another as well, but here it's much quicker response time, I think. I'm not going to hold the speaker list, so maybe someone.
Ariana can, someone, Marcus, may I ask you to do the helper?
Sure.
And then we'll take the speaker list.
second mic works as well.
Okay. You can take it.
Can you say your name when you raise your hand to know?
Guillaume Esen Göteborg. Yes, you mentioned you wanted to make some teams to take care of the different tasks. Do you already have an idea what teams like?
I think you can hear me. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we have a grasp of it. Not, of course, everything. I mean, we don't want to sound too cocky either. We want to wait until we are elected before we move. Like, we don't want to diverse and focus on so many different things at once, because the most important thing here now is to improve the event or improve the application until AGM, present it there, and then hopefully get elected. But we do have some ideas we discuss internally. For example, in the core OC, to have a quite easy workload, you can't have too many people, right? But the teams, what we are already focused on, there's going to be probably an IT team focusing on all the IT, so on and so forth, like volunteer team and etc. So there's going to be, maybe you can see at the people that are displayed now as the OC, they will more or less take care of a committee or try to engage people in a committee, basically.
Thank you.
Ellen?
Ellen Esen Bakur. First, I wanted to say thank you for the presentation. I'm really happy to see that the spirit and motivation didn't go down after the last AGM to host this event. And one question from my side would be, because if you look at the past AGMs, they were always named like, now it's AGM Thessaloniki, before it was AGM Costa Brava. What was your idea behind branding it as AGM Sweden rather than AGM Linköping?
Sorry, Ellen, can you repeat your question?
What?
I missed it in the
Sorry.
minutes. We were fixing here something.
No
I'm
worries.
sorry. What's your question?
Why branding it AGM Sweden instead of AGM Linköping?
Okay, thank you.
Also, like guys, when you ask your questions, try to be concise and precise. Also for Ariana to take minutes. So try to collect your thoughts before you ask the question in order to have like a very clear question.
Yeah. So, excellent question. I don't know really why we decided on AGM Sweden rather than AGM Linköping. Linköping is maybe hard to pronounce for most people, besides the Danish maybe. But AGM Sweden also felt a bit more true to what we are. Like this OC, this event will not be just Linköping volunteers. It will very much be the whole of Sweden. And it felt closer to what actually the event would represent. It will not be AGM Linköping. It would be more or less AGM Sweden plus Norway plus Denmark, which makes it complicated in a name. So we decided the biggest part or the biggest pool of volunteers would be Swedish people, or like ESN Sweden and AGM Sweden. And then we also joked about having SWE, yellow and blue, then red and white, but we decided finally that AGM Sweden after consultation with Kasper, right? Yeah.
Taha, ESN Lund. My question is, do you have what's your plan for the legal entity taking responsibility for AGM Sweden? Would it be ESN Sweden or other?
Yes, also good question. We are gonna do it, we already done it actually, that we are forming a committee under ESN Sweden called AGM Sweden, and its purpose and for existing and being is to hold this event, basically. Similar to how the Sea Battle OC is, it's an entity under ESN Sweden with the purpose of arranging and holding the event Sea Battle. And we are talking, we pretty much finished most of the legal aspects of it, but there's some question about that it's best to take after, right? Like bank access, etc. We talked about, not to go into full detail because this will be a long conversation, but the president and the treasurer can give full MAC to a certain person else. So it's not signature power, it can be a power of attorney, I think it's called, that is very specific for the task, duration, and the purpose. So that's kind of the route we take. And the reason we do this is because it feels much safer than, we have three options: create a new entity, a new organization, which we tried, and we actually could have done, but we felt it was, one, not safe, two, it felt a bit shady that we create an organization, in Sweden especially, like create an organization with one purpose and then dissolving it. And we didn't have that same relationship with partners and whatnot. It would just hinder us more than help us. The second would be to have it under ESN Linköping, and that felt a bit damaging to the local section, having them the only purpose for them arranging this event, this big event. And the third was ESN Sweden, which is also now the most straightforward and actually the most smartest way of doing it, probably.
Manos?
Yes. Manos, ESN Malmö. I have two questions about the dates. From what I can see from the application, you have only one preferred date, 16 to 20 of April. So the first question is, what about other preferred options? And the second question is about the religious aspect of it. As we all remember, for this AGM, there has been a lot of discussion about the Easter. It's taking place during the Catholic, that's Protestant Easter. I checked the dates, like I did a quick Googling. From what I can see, 16 to 20 of April, it's on the Orthodox Easter this time. So how do you expect to deal with it, taking into consideration that certain countries like Greece, Serbia, Russia, Romania, etc. will have also a problem? Because you know it's holiday, so you know people want to stay with family. Tickets are more expensive as well.
So I think it's
Yeah. No. I think there was two questions. The reason that there is no alternative dates is that holding an event of this size in Sweden, especially, is first of all, okay, it's like a couple of answers there, but anyway, it's very difficult to, for so forward in time, say, hey, I want all these dates, right? And we decided as the OC, after a lot of consultation about this, that we will go with one date, the date we are comfortable with, and that's why we just published one date. The specific date, 16 to 20 of April, it didn't come as a surprise, your question. We have thought about this many times. We realized this quite earlier ourselves as well. And Ada, the AAT coordinator, being from Poland, she pointed this out as well to us quite early. It's unfortunate, but this is the date we can hold it, and this is a really good date. We tried to find alternative dates during the weekdays, so Monday to Friday instead. But as you know, Monday to Friday is business days, so that means hotel prices are about 2 to 3 times higher. That means our budget that we are proposed now would be 3 times higher. It's not sustainable, especially in the Nordic countries. This date is extremely good for us, but it's also good, in my opinion, and the OC's opinion, for most people. And we hope that we can convince people enough that it's worth with these dates. Yeah. But we are ready to receive this question at Thessaloniki as well.
Hope you have a good answer to deal with it.
Yeah.
Taha, ESN Lund. In this case, according to your answer, is technically ESN Lund will be the legal entity behind AGM Sweden. Sorry, ESN Sweden is behind AGM Sweden.
Yes.
Okay. I have a comment on this. This is quite dangerous move because ESN Sweden will be liable to everything that would come from this AGM. There is AGM not too far, just 2 years ago, they had extremely high losses. In this case, ESN Sweden would be put in the risk of being liable for all this money. Moreover, taking this move without actually taking, this is personal view and opinion, taking this action of putting this on the network without having an official vote where the sections officially support the establishment of this event under the entity, under ESN Sweden, is actually going step side without, let's say, without permission, official permission. This is not okay, in my opinion.
Okay. To comment back on that, two things. You used an example from AGM Germany, and you used it as them losing a lot of money. I was not involved so much in that OC, but as far as I know, the reason of a massive loss for them was that they had, in some way, their OC had budgeted grants and sponsorship that didn't bear any fruit, which is problematic if you think you're going to have a huge income and it's not there. Of course, you're going to go with the loss if you believe that. Our budget is, in a way, much more sustainable. Everything that we have sent in our application is confirmed. These are money that we're going to get, and it's already balanced. So the risk is lower there. Second of all, we have for quite a long time talked in Sweden, in the network, what we should do with our money. We do have money. Should we invest them? Should we save them? Etc. At one point or another, I think it's worth investing some money. The event, of course, if it goes negatively, if that's the feeling, then of course it could be a loss for the Swedish network. If it goes positively, equally, they will bear the fruit of that. So that's the feeling. As far as the consultation with the sections, we did one in the autumn. We wanted to do one at the NP, but the application deadline was on Wednesday. The NP started today, 2 days later. It's quite difficult. The timing was not perfect. Based on the feedback from the sections in the autumn, it was very positive. The reaction from NP in Denmark and NP in Norway, it's very positive. Even in Finland, very positive. So we hoped that we would have the network support and then continued the creation of a committee or creating an event under ESN Sweden doesn't need an official vote. But though an unofficial vote would, of course, strengthen your support to us.
Yes, if you have to follow up.
Just follow up on two things. First, it was not just AGM Germany that had losses. Many AGM before had confirmed losses. That's one. Two, you said all in your budget that you sent, all of the money budgeted is confirmed, yet there's 10,000 euros is actually grant from ESN Sweden that we still haven't voted on it, and we haven't confirmed it. So this is actually 10,000 euros. I mean, you are assuming that you are assuming that ESN Sweden will just give it to you, and you are saying that we want to invest this money that's coming, like we are having extra money. So you took the decision by your own that ESN Sweden should invest in that event without going back to the sections, except in unofficial vote that wasn't even registered in the NP minutes of NP Group. Thank you.
I think you misunderstand me. When I say the budget is 100% confirmed, it is. Even if we don't attain this 10,000 euro grant, we still are balanced. We have a safety fund as noted in our budget. So, and it's currently we have one commercial partner, a big one that goes in with quite a lot of money, and that is 100% confirmed per like legal statement basically. And that's one commercial partner. In Sweden, it would be quite unbelievable if we don't find more than one partner in a year. So, in my opinion, if this is about the sustainability of the budget or the money here, I feel like we are in quite safe waters still. You compare us with older AGMs, which is good. You have to learn lessons from older editions, but you have to also move on. You can't really compare us with past AGM. If you want to compare just 1 year past, they went 7,000 euro plus, and that's after they had a lot of problems as well. So it's a roller coaster if we're gonna go and compare with a lot of different things. We can have a vote. Maybe we can change something in agenda and have an official vote of support later at the NP. But yeah.
We can I think it's very clear, your point, and I think it would be worth it to discuss it with the board. So after the plenary and we will talk about that. I think it's very relevant what you raise up. But I also would a bit close this topic because I think it's already very clear, and also to compare with former HMOC, I could also add different perspectives. So I think maybe it's not something like we can give like different interpretation, like comparing this OC to previous OC. So I think that Taha's point is very clear, and we will discuss it, and we will come up with it to you like with a solution. So, but thank you very much for raising the issue. Ellen?
Ellen is
I'm
back.
sorry, Ellen, if I stopped you for a while. I propose to close the speaker list. If okay, Susan, someone else. What's your name? Sorry.
Eric.
Eric. Against? Abstain? Okay, the speaker list is closed. Ellen, please.
Ellen is backward. I have two questions. The first question is probably a question you will get during AGM. How do you justify that you have the experience to host such a big event? Because in previous years, when you don't take into account something like Sea Battle, there weren't like any events organized in Sweden for the network in a bigger scale. And the second question is, you were talking about the committees and so on, and I think it's a really good idea to involve people that way. But if you look at how the applicant situation looks right now in the national board, and also if you see how few people compared to the size of our network are involved in committees actively at the moment on a national level, it's quite low. So how would you think it would work out having enough volunteers for AGM while not losing the focus and throwing other things under the table like Sea Battle or national trip and so on?
Okay, so first question was the experience. Okay, so we're quite a diverse OC, but you're right, Sweden haven't hosted major international events. I can only speak for myself now, and excluding Sea Battle, I have been head of OC of many big projects locally in Linköping, not ESN related, but in one, actually in truth bigger than ESN or AGM. Like for example, I've been involved in the project group of Larm a bit. I've been helping out during certain other Swedish Linköping event that is quite big, and I learned a lot there. And also from my time in Gothenburg, I was involved there in some other activities that are student related, but in some way much bigger than AGM is in a scope. And I think I learned a lot of good experience from there. And that's also a bit of my point about experience. ESN experience is important, but we need to also use experience that's outside of just ESN and harness it and help out, using it in a positive way. So I think, from my point as well, I think I have enough experience, and I can of course formulate much longer about this. We sent in the application on Wednesday, and 2 days later we're preparing for NP. But it's a good question. Maybe some of the OCs can share more.
For me, the answer is also right here.
Can I say one thing? Actually, all of us that are standing up here have worked together at the national level this whole year, and it's very clear that we work together very well. So I think that we will be able to continue in that way, working together quite well on this big, exciting project that will hopefully draw the attention and excitement of a lot of volunteers within our network. I have a feeling that we will not be shy of volunteers.
And just continue on the first question, this OC as a whole then, why do we have the experience to do this? Even though we sent in the application with a couple of names, these people are part of the OC, doesn't mean it's set in stone. The OC could expand, the OC can change position between people a bit, like, I feel like I can do much better work here. And the OC can open more spots. Like, this is an event that is not ESN Linköping, so ESN Sweden's only. It's an event for ESN. So that means if you feel here now that you have the experience or I want to be involved, there's nothing stopping you. We will have an open call about it if you get elected. Even then, before that, you can approach us. We can do some changes before the final presentation at Thessaloniki. And the second part of your question was volunteers. There it's quite simple. the way we have envisioned the teams and committees is not that they will focus, like it's not like SNEC, you will just do this during your whole mandate a year. It will be very much focused as a project group. Certain project teams will not be activated in a sense before the event takes place. For example, you don't need a huge logistic and venue team before the actual weeks or months before the event. You don't need to have that team in place. So that means we won't really steal resources from the rest of the network. And as one thing I wanted to make clear before was, it's not Sweden alone. We have officially got Denmark's support to share volunteers. We have a person from Copenhagen already in the OC. Today I received some more whispers from them. They're like, oh, there's some spots left to help out and whatnot. So there's volunteers from our neighboring countries that would be involved as well. I've been talking with Finland as well. They feel like, since they bid last year, I think. So yeah, I need to shut up. You're looking badly at me. But basically you understand, I hope. Otherwise we can talk.
Thank you. Okay, okay. First of all, try to be a bit more concise in your answers. Also, because in your jam you won't have so much time to express your thoughts. So, Noor, I really would like to say to you, also publicly, that from ESN Italy in our perspective, I think you presented a very good candidacy. It was a pleasure to see finally one net country involved in an international event. AGM, it's a big challenge. It's the most complicated event of our network, and maybe this will be also the last AGM. Who knows? So congratulations, and really you have to be proud of yourself for what you did, and also I really hope that your sections will be proud as well, because this is something that can really give you a great experience as a country, and you will be, if the candidacy will be approved, you will be really lucky to have the opportunity to be part of this project in a way or in another. So from my side, good luck and congratulations. Susie.
It's a bit of a comment follow-up on Noor, Susanne from Denmark. I would also like to congratulate you a lot on your candidacy. I think you have done really well. I've sort of followed a bit from the backline as well. And as she's mentioned, ESN Norway and ESN Denmark is backing up this project, and the idea is sort of to share volunteers, so we would also be recruiting in Denmark. I know a lot of people in Denmark are very happy about the candidacy. So from our side, I think it's a big kudos and a big thank you. And I had another point. Yes, it was mentioned what kind of value this could bring to the Swedish network. I think it's a huge amount of value, especially because it's the entire country. I think it'll bring the section closer together. Not only the Swedish sections, but the Scandinavian sections. And we are 3 body countries that are constantly looking for places to cooperate, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity. So thank you a lot and congratulations.
David?
I just wanted to say that I'm very happy. David, yes, in Denmark. I just want to say I'm really happy that actually something's happening, because I remember when we started to talk about this first time, which was actually 2 years ago on the Buddy Country meeting in Malmo, which I think is only me from the current board to remember there. Milan was there, Jeroen was at the board at the time, and I remember we started to talk about it as AGM Scandinavia and a lot of crazy ideas. So it's really nice to see that actually this turned into something 2 years after this. I'm really happy to see, and I wish you all the best. And of course, we'll help you as much as we can.
Eric?
I'm covered.
Okay, bye, Lou.
Like
you have to say bye.
Bit by Taha, bit by Ellen, and bit by Ellen again, I guess.
Wow.
Okay, so thank you guys.
One final thing, though. One final thing. I mean, it's really important for you guys to actually question us as well. Why are you doing this? Have you thought about the risk and whatnot? I don't want to discourage you from doing this. My good. And then, basically, because this is also important, that you feel comfortable with this. don't feel discouraged. Like Taha did raise up some really important questions. I feel like anyone that feels this way or have other thoughts, you should not be afraid of asking questions, because it's important that you say what you feel, so we can discuss this and also resolve it. You know, otherwise it will just linger there and it will cause problems. It's better. Yeah.
So thank you very much. We will follow up with a question like this evening, and like a big round of applause. So now I would like to invite Taha on the stage to present his president candidacy for
Jesus Christ.
We didn't question the okay.
I can use my phone to register. Okay. So
7 minutes from.
My coffee is cold.
But don't worry, like just okay. From now.
Hello guys, I am Taha Haj, and I am here to present my candidacy for the President of ESN Sweden for the next mandate, 2019 to 2020. So who am I? I am Taha, as I said. I come from Syria, Aleppo city in the north of Syria, like very close to Turkish borders. I came to Sweden 3 years and a half ago as a student to study at Lund University, and since then I applied for asylum here. Now I am a permanent resident here in Sweden, and in September I will be applying for citizenship, and hopefully in May I will get my degree from Lund University, and I'm continuing to study Swedish on advanced level next year. I have a degree in law from Aleppo University. Personally, I love dancing salsa. I love Game of Thrones. I'm very nerdy in that kind of thing. I'm learning actually High Valerian now. So yeah, if you have some questions about that language, come to me. I'm very passionate about educate and non-formal education, and I try to push everyone to share this passion with me because it's amazing. It's amazing feeling in the trainings and in the training room when you are participant and when you are a trainer. So we'll have more about that later on. So stay tuned. Now, what's my ESN experience? I started at ESN Lund in September 2016. I was the chair of activities for 1 semester, and then I became the president of the section for a whole year. During that time, I was also the head of the organizing committee for MP Lund. And then, while I was president during the second semester, I became the responsible party coordinator of ESN Sweden and joined the Sea Battle organizing committee. After that, and I still fought because I was for 1 year, and then I applied again, and I stayed as the responsible party coordinator of ESN Sweden. That's in ESN Lund and ESN Sweden. And ESN International, I joined NEC for almost a year and a half. And I'm still member I joined ICE, the International Committee of Education, and I'm still member there. I joined many training events with Educate as a trainer, as a participant, and also as a trainer in one incident. Hopefully I will continue with that more. I finished the basic training for trainers and advanced training for trainers, and now I'm planning to become a junior trainer. That's the new title for they changed it in Educate, so I'm planning to become a junior trainer at ESN in the Educate. I attended many events. You can see them in my CV that I sent. There's lots of events, national platforms, international events, AGMs, CND, CNR, and many C battles. So we cover last one. I have to tell you about my plans for the position. Hopefully, I will try to focus more on. I will continue the work that has been continued before the previous boards. Now, I know that since Louise, as president of ESN Sweden, that was at least 3 years ago, she was working very hard on the operating grant, and there's been a lot of improvement so far. Hopefully, I will continue this work next year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we will get it finally. I would also continue pushing the education aspect with the internationalization and mobility conference that happened in Stockholm. Hopefully we continue with that and build on it. And also keep pushing for having an ESN Sweden training, motivate, revive it again, and hopefully push it to become on high level and high standards. Also continue on the advocacy, because now we have the new plan for Erasmus, the increased budget. After the approval from the European Council, we need to also have every country approve it. So I don't think we will need that much work in Sweden, because there's a lot of motivation towards the support of this move. But anyway, we're gonna try to put our weight and have to push and advocate to have also Sweden support that increase in the budget. I'm going to also try to take a deep look using my law education into our SOS, trying to make them more concise and trying to develop them a bit more to have a better, more easy to follow and to work with in the SOS. That's in general, in key points, my plan for the next year. Last words. I love ESN and I'm here to help. At first, I will be asked this question, so I'm gonna use the time and answer it. Why didn't I apply from the first open call for the president and I waited for the re-open call? I applied as a national training coordinator at the beginning. At first, when I saw the open call, I thought about applying for president, but I was very conflicted inside. I felt some negative feelings inside me from things that happened before, many of you know it. And I talked with my good friend Guillaume here, who helped me a lot. And I realized that it was not the right reasons to apply for president. And it was made much logical to apply for national training coordinator, because I have my passion in training and education. So I did. And I reflected a lot on these negative feelings, which helped me get over them. And I felt great after sending the application as national training coordinator. When the application opened again, I was surprised that we didn't have an application for president and for treasurer, which are two very key positions. And I felt the duty calling me for ESN Sweden, the network is very dear to my heart. And at that time, I rethought again about applying for president and having all the negative feelings gone away, because I processed them before. It helped me remember that I really enjoy working with ESN and taking care of the network and developing it and working with it. So even though my application came a bit late, it came for the right reasons, because I love this network and I love what we're doing with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we open. We open the question round. This open. Ready? If you don't mind.
What is your name?
Jonathan.
We are very humble. President.
Jonathan, ESN Malmo. Sorry, let me apologise first of all for my cold, so you had to hear me properly. Thank you for a great presentation. I just have a short question. Knowing me, I will keep it going a bit longer though. Marcus has done a great job in building the local president's community in terms of strengthening communication with our network, which I feel as if is very, very important. Communication is essential in order to get work done and to better our community as well. Can I ask you, what do you think is currently missing in terms of communication in our network, and how do you plan to work on that?
This is actually a bit tricky one. Thank you for this question. The thing is, it's always hard to balance between getting the sections excited enough so they communicate on their own, and then you also pushing them to want to communicate and actually communicate. There's a very thin line in between, because we don't want to push the network, the sections too far away, and you don't want to just be busy with your own stuff. I think I will try to have a balance in between. Mary has done an amazing job in communication last year, and hopefully if I get elected and she gets re-elected, I'll try to work with her, trying to find this balance between getting the sections to communicate with us by having more open policy, more transparent, as we have now, and even hopefully more. And I mean, this is all you can do, because unfortunately you cannot force people to communicate with you more. The thing is, in ESN Sweden in general, all sections are independent organizations, and they have their own stuff going on their own. They can be totally independent from us, and they continue to work on their own. So we need to really put a really high, like very delicious bite for them to, okay, let's cooperate more, let's work more. So hopefully we'll find that key.
Can I just, like, everybody takes a deep breath. Can you speak a bit slowly? I know this board is exciting.
I did apologize, my voice is a bit groggy.
I think we have a question there also. William?
We have just because.
Oh,
I'm here. But also with the terrible cold voice. Yeah. One technical problem first.
Name and position?
Oh yeah, Alice, partnership manager. At first, I think it's still quite a bit cold here in the room. Is it possible to fix it, please?
Okay, so this is a procedural. Okay.
Yeah, but no.
Okay, we will try to manage that with Lucy.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my question to Taha is I'm double checking the description of the president position right now, and it's mainly talking about like together with partnership manager, responsible blah blah, supporting treasurer, supporting ESNC battle coordinator, supporting vice president, together contact with education officer, like lots of contact responsible together, especially even though my mandate is quite short, but I can really say like Marcus have done a great job, like really like bonding us together.
And go to the
what I want to say is in your presentation you have talked about how much passion you have about educate events, but not as a president position. And I admire that you want to help with the Swedish network, but it's not about like have a blanket, have a vacuumed position and you just go for it, just help it. So like what's your motivation to apply for the president position?
Okay, as I said, one part of my motivation is I want to help ESN Sweden. I want to be there for the network. The second part of my motivation is after the second open call, and when I start to consider really applying again for the president of ESN Sweden, I remembered my time as president of ESN Lund. I remember how much I enjoyed it. I remembered how much I'm proud of the things that ESN Lund developed during the times I was there. I looked at the things that I helped establish there, like the PR committee, the local education officer position, the new system of applying for events and applying for the budget. All of things now established are well going and making the section work very smooth. The re-establishing of the relations with the IRO in Lund, which after almost 3 or 4 years of disconnect, and were all almost hating us and going to close us in 2012. So remembering all of this reminds me of how much I enjoy working in developing the network, developing the volunteer, and exploring new potentials and new frontiers for it to grow to. And that's my second motivation, because I understand what you mean. If it's just to help, then maybe not, maybe yes. But then it's even for me. I'm not like, yeah, I want to help, but I also wanted to find another reason, and I found it when I remembered this.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, again, when you ask a question, remember to go straight to the point, because it's easier for the candidates to understand, it's easier for the minutes and for everyone.
You can take a few seconds to think about your answer to if you want. Don't feel nervous to start answering for all the candidates. Like, take your time thinking, okay? We don't want to stress you with this thing of being fast.
Hello, William Iasanadru. Congratulations on a good presentation. I just want to ask you, you previously had some concerns about the AGM hosted in Sweden. Now in the AGM in Thessaloniki, if we get accepted to host it, how would you help and support the organizing committee for the AGM in Sweden?
Thank you. First of all, regardless of my reservation, I think that event is amazing. It's really nice. I'm so happy, and I'm one of the biggest. I was one of the people who were talking about organizing AGM Sweden and AGM Costa Brava. About what I will do if I get elected with working with the organizing committee, I will behind it 100%. I will do the same. They decide that we are caring about it, we're going to support it, but we are not responsible 100% behind it. I will do the same. So whatever the sections decide, I will be doing that.
Ellen?
Ellen is in Växjö. I didn't have the chance yet to work to internal issues, crisis situations, and also differences between the local and national level.
Yeah. So my leadership style developed a lot between the start of my presidency in Lund and the end of my presidency in Lund, and even afterwards. Actually, being a member, I believe in the saying that to know how to lead, you need to know how to follow. And being a member in the Sea Battle OC and having to follow another leadership, it helped me a lot understand many concepts and how to deal with the team in a leading position. My leadership style is trying to make everyone know that their voices are heard and have equal weight. I never overlook someone's people. I try. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm wrong. I always step. After 2 years and a half in ESN, I realized that the problems that happen are most of the time, 99% of the time, are problems in communications and misunderstanding. If people would take a deep breath, separate people, make them calm down, rethink things, and state things normally, people will realize, oh, there was a misunderstanding here, there was a misunderstanding there, and I think most of the problems will be solved. Other way, if there's actual problems, then there's mediation, and we can also proposals that I sent to this AGM to change the SOS. I am naturally skeptical of the authority. I would always be standing next to the local section and with the it's just, this is my mentality and my attitude. I think I will continue to do the same, but I will of course have to balance it because I will be technically in national level.
And sorry, Mary, I would propose to close the speaker list if no one's going to be added. Someone against? Abstain? So the speaker list is closed.
Mary, Communication Manager. If I understood well, you're also running for the National Training Coordinator. Will you keep on running for this position, or will you withdraw to focus on the President candidacy?
Well, my focus on the candidacy is just 2 days, so it's not a big difference if I focus on 2 or not. But in case of being elected, I will of course be, if I get elected for both, in that case I will definitely focus on the President because it's most important position, most needed, and I feel I can do much more to help ESN Sweden from that position.
Jonathan, ESN Malmo. Just a quick question. Are you personally in favor of AGM 2020 in Sweden?
I am 100% behind AGM Sweden 2020, but 100% against having it under the entity of ESN Sweden.
Malin, project coordinator. Thank you, Sarah. For the position right now, as it's written, it is essential to be fluent in Swedish. So I just wonder, what are your Swedish knowledge?
I was accepted at extensive Swedish language course at Lund University. I finished the first semester last semester. This semester I'm finishing my thesis, and next semester I'm continuing. I'm already capable of speaking Swedish, understanding Swedish, reading and writing. So I can communicate clearly. I can hand manage emails in Swedish also. So I don't think that will be a problem. I'm not 100% fluent. I'm not perfect in the Swedish, that's of course. But I totally can manage to speak and even complicated.
Or like a concern that is personally like a weakness as becoming a president of ESN Sweden.
To be honest with you, most positions that I applied to before, I already had clear things I want to accomplish, like I want to establish this, I want to do that. So when I was applying for ESN Lund president, I knew that I want to develop this side, I want to develop that side. But in ESN Sweden, I have a lot of experience, but it's still, there's a lot of obstacle, like the question that Jonathan had about the communication from the sections. I realized the problem and I want to develop it, but you feel a bit like limited, because how are you going to push people? This is a bit hard to get the people, the sections, to communicate with you and interact more. So I think this is one of the things that a bit worries me. I hope that with time, during the transition weekend, during the, if I get elected, of course, transition weekend, with the kickoff weekend with the rest of the board, I will be able to establish a more clear view of what I'm going to do for the position. Apart from the normal maintenance that happens, apart from the normal, okay, we need to do the normal duties, because I always aspire to do something, to develop, to actually add to the organization I work in.
Thank you very much. So, the speaker list is closed. A big round of applause to Sarah. I would like to invite Michaela for as candidacy as national representative of ESN Sweden. You have 7 minutes. I will So, are you ready? Do you have ready? Let's go. Wait.
I'm very happy and honored to stand here and present to you my candidacy for reapplying for NR of ESN Sweden for 2019-2020. So, who am I then? My name is Michaela Olén. I'm a 25-year-old Swede. I have a bachelor in political science and French. I graduated from it last year. I will start my master's in Uppsala University in August. I'm currently working at the international office at Linnaeus University with incoming mobility and international students exchanges. I love being international in my home country, which I can thanks to ESN. I also have my internationalization at home because I joined ESN before I went on my Erasmus exchange. I did my Erasmus in France, and I did my Erasmus internship in Belgium last year in Brussels. And 3 of my favorite things, except ESN of course, is pugs, minions and tacos. So thanks to Rosie, they're not here today now, but yeah. So, what about my ESN experience then? What have I done? I've been active on the 3 levels of ESN. I joined ESN Växjö, locally known as VIS, in autumn 2014 on my university studies when I began. I was an active member, I was the secretary of the board, I was vice president and local representative, I was part of the election committee, and when I moved away I was also the procedural auditor doing audit of the section. About 1 year ago I was elected as the NR of ESN Sweden, and it's been a hell of a ride since then, and I enjoyed it very much. And there I'm reapplying for a second mandate. On international, I am a member of ICE, the International Committee of Education, and part of the Quality Mobility team there. So, I'm doing this one more time. I want to do this one more time. So, what do I want to do then? I can tell you one thing. This was kind of me 1 year ago when I began in May. I learned a lot since then. Well, that time in May, I thought I had everything figured out. I knew exactly what I was going to do as an R. Turned out it was a very complex position. It was difficult to grasp. It was tricky. So it took time to learn, and I have a few points and focus areas that I would like to focus on if being re-elected, and those comes from my experience doing those this year. I've seen what works and I see what hasn't worked, and I want to develop that. I want to develop myself, and I want to develop myself as an R and continue to develop ESN Sweden. So, my focus, the primary focus would be on ESN review and its result at AGM Thessaloniki. At the moment, today, we still don't know the future of our organization. Will there be a structural change or not? I truly believe that ESN needs this change to be sustainable for the next generation of volunteers that we will have. So no matter the result, I plan to continue that and work with that. I see it as not only beneficial for ESN Sweden, that I have been part of this year, this process that we had, but also for the network in general, if the NR and ESN country has been part of this year with the consultations. Many of you has also been part of the consultations. So yeah, that will be one of my main focuses. And of course, I want to involve you. My second is to have an international committee of ESN Sweden. As I said, I build this on my experience, and I see it hasn't really worked the way I had during my first half year. I want to make it an international committee where everyone who's interested in international topics can join and share experiences and get knowledge, and also assist me as an NR to help the sections with international topics. I then also want to have a CLR instead, to every 15 LR of the sections to gather them, and where I can consult them about topics, for example, before every meeting I go to. The third is to have international possibilities, interest, and knowledge. I believe with knowledge comes interest and motivation. With this, the International Committee of ESN Sweden could help me with that, to share this and also decrease the information overload to the sections, and instead share it to one person. Okay, this is, can we scroll up? Can we scroll up the slide? Can we scroll up the slide, please? I also believe there's not a lot more that the NR do and can do if not only ESN review. And I do more, and I want to do more than that. And that's why, with the knowledge and experience I have now, I believe I can do that, and not only ESN review, because now I know I have the experience, and it will be better. It's been a great year, and I learned a lot, and I really want to continue this. I met amazing people, I had amazing experiences. I just see how my experience will help me, and also I want to continue this organization very much. I truly believe in what we're doing, from the local level and to national, international level. It's so connected, and the students, helping students on a volunteer basis, the whole thing what you're doing, I think we're changing life, and I enjoy every single day of it, even though it's a lot of work, and yeah, it's something I really believe in this organization. So that's why I'm applying for a second mandate, and I hope you will continue to trust me to represent you as your national representative. Thank you.
speaker list is it's open.
Right here. I'm literally there.
Okay. Jonathan?
So first, Mama.
Yeah. Jonathan, yes, and Melba. Excuse me. Michaela, thank you for a fantastic presentation. So I'm just curious to know, as you've been part of the National Board now for the year, what are the biggest problems you see that the National Board faces for the future, or upcoming year, shall we say? Thank you. Take that.
I feel that we can improve the communication to the sections and to decrease the gap between local and national level. How we do this, I'm not really sure, but I think we need to meet somewhere halfway and find some good communication how to talk. That's why I also feel that what I want to do, to have a CLR, could be a good way for that, to have a direct contact, I know, with the 15 people who I can contact, and I feel that it will bring me closer to the sections if I know that.
When it's your turn, like, raise your hand. So.
Susanne is in Denmark. Thank you very much for your presentation, Michaela. I wanted to ask you about the CLRs. It's something we implemented in Denmark during my mandate over the past year, and we've seen it work very well. So I wanted to ask you, how many do you plan to have, like how often, and how do you plan to conduct them?
Thank you. Since Sweden is a quite big country and we're quite far away from each other, I would love to have physical meetings, but I've seen it's a bit tricky. So it will probably be on Skype or Hangouts then. Probably once a month would be my aim, and also to have that place to have it before a CNR, so I can consult and tell what will happen during that meeting and get the section's input in that. And as well, when it's not a CNR upcoming, it's just once per month, and then update what has been happening, the process, because there's a lot of happenings during that year. Very that month, yeah.
Ellen Iesen Bakur. From working with you, I know that your day somehow seems to have more than 24 hours. Still, I mean, you have a job, you're reapplying for an R, you're in the OC for AGM 2020. Do you think that you will manage time-wise to take care of all of this? And because you were traveling a lot as well, as an R?
I have only been on local level when I've been studying, but since I'm going to start my studies again in the fall, I feel it's going to be easier. I don't think, I believe that I thought about this, and I see that since I managed to work full time now, I will manage when I start my masters again. Because as you say, traveling takes time, but with being a student again, I will have more control over my time and not being Monday to Friday 8 to 5 o'clock. So I manage it now, so I hope I will do it in the future as well. And also, if there's something I really want, then I make it happen with the time.
Thank you. So, Nurminchar, I have a question for you. What do you think ESN Sweden could afford to CNR? Could bring to CNR?
That's an interesting question. I feel, as I said, what I learned during this year takes some time to get into the position and for the CNR. But I feel it's a we say it, we're culture different, but we really are. And I feel that we can bring that much forward to the CNR, not only Sweden but also NAP in general. And yeah, I think we have everyone. I feel that our calmness is also needed in matters. No offense is great, but I think we complement each other very much. To yeah, I'm not yeah, get me right. But yeah, in some matters I think it's also needed, and I think that can be brought. And I feel that the Swedish sections also, you're very focused on your local work as well, and I think that also shows something on before ESN review, for example, that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Yes, Guillaume is in Göteborg. So you've talked about the cooperation of countries, and I think we can see already that we have a great collaboration in NEP based on the response about AGM and stuff like that. I see that we're starting to include the ESN UK in the next battle edition. Do you have any more countries you are thinking about cooperating with? Do you have other plans for that specific, the country cooperation, basically?
In general or battle?
In general, just general cooperation between Sweden and other countries.
Not in particular. I believe that our cooperation with our buddy countries can. I think it's better to focus on that. For example, making some kind of events with the sections in Scandinavia together, or with. Did I misunderstand you?
No, it's fine.
Or with having a national board meeting with the 3 national boards, instead of increasing it to other countries in other regions. We have a very good cooperation with other NAP countries this year, I feel.
So you feel like besides AGM, you would like even more cooperation? Because that's already going to take a big piece of the year, I believe. Should AGM?
I'm not sure I understand you correctly.
For the cooperation?
For the cooperation.
Of the NEP region, because the NEP region is going to cooperate for AGM, should AGM, good say.
Yeah, I think that we mostly discussed about having the buddy countries. That's the only we have confirmed that they want to cooperate. So, as far as I know, it's not more. We haven't really talked about more countries than the Scandinavians at the moment for AGM. I'm sorry if I misunderstood you first.
Thank you.
So, if nobody is going to speak on this, I would propose to close it. Against, abstain. The speaker list is closed. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you. So, I would like to invite Mary to present her candidacy for communication manager of ESN. So, do we have a presenter? You have 7 minutes, starting from.
Okay, so I'm Mary. I'm candidating for the position of communication manager, the sequel. Yes. Yeah, one of the things I learned during this mandate is to not put GIFs in the PDF file. But yeah. What a fun ride that was. Let's do it again. All full of energy. So, quick recap. This is who I am. I'm 26. I'm Dutch by passport, Ukrainian by blood with some Afghan spices on the side. I'm doing my master in media communication, finishing my thesis at the moment. And I have a background in spatial design, which is theater design. I did my bachelor in Groningen. I started volunteering ESN in 2013 with ESN Groningen in one of the committees. I organized hitchhike competitions, pretty cool. And so far, I've been to a lot of events, and I want to go to more events because it motivates me and it brings back a lot of new and fresh ideas. And well, yeah, ESN Groningen and ESN Malmo, especially ESN Malmo. That's actually that got me this far. So thank you to that section. What I've been doing, a lot. and it's been very broad, my work. I've been doing from social media to graphic design to merch to managing teams to keep consistent brands, and it's a lot. And but it's been fun and rewarding, and there's still a lot of new and fresh ideas to come, because 1 year is definitely not enough. You actually get more ideas after 1 year to do so. The energy is wibbly wobbly, but it's still there. But okay, let's go straight to the point. Let's open this bit. So, 3 goals of mine. You've probably heard this multiple times, but I want to develop the position of Vice Communication Manager, not just by myself, but also together with this person, to make sure that the communication and network is a bit more sustainable, because we are growing as an organization, so there are going to be a lot more things to do and more things to consider, and one person is definitely not enough, especially if you want to develop our network. So some help there is needed. I want to develop the communication community in Sweden. I recently started doing that a bit. This was a thing I planned last year already, and I finally came to the time that I have time and energy and resources and knowledge to do this. And I think it's been incredibly valuable to talk with the sections and for them to understand what's going on in the network, and for me to understand what's going on in their section. And so I can help out needed and yeah, to see what kind of tools are needed. And of course, focus on creating strategies, materials, workshops, and other tools for network. I've been involved in Educate for a bit. It's been on a hold since I started this position, but now I really want to actually do something with the knowledge and the trainings that I got, and make actually use of this position I have, because the communication manager is the person in charge of the communication strategies. Because of all the workload, the attention was a bit divided. But I hope now for a new mandate to put more focus, especially now with the new logo updates, and more focus on a unified brand that I can actually bring this knowledge back in. And this is my dream, but this is a dream. I want to have a communication training event for Sweden or Scandinavia. This is in Denmark. We will talk about that maybe. No, but I think being at the communication summits 2 times now, I see how much value it brings to us and the knowledge, because communication is broad. So there's a lot of things to learn there, and of course a lot of people to meet. And if I had the opportunity, if I have people who want to do this together with me, I would really love to have this kind of event in the region. Thank you, and if you have any other questions in here, you can always contact me. Now, if you want to apply for Vice Communication Manager, you can always approach me.
Thank you, Mary. So, the speaker list is open.
It's really cold, right?
Yeah,
The
it's
fingers
really
are
cold.
freezing.
Yeah, it's very cold.
They're going to follow.
Raise away.
Cold, yeah.
The reception is closed. So put yours up.
Jonathan, ESM Mamo.
Mary,
I
thank
think
you
it's
for.
on. Yeah.
And you?
It's
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
There you go. Sorry. It's a little bit low. John, ESM Mamo. Mary, thank you for a glorious presentation, as always. So you mentioned there, actually during your presentation, that we are a continuously growing network. And as I've asked previous candidates about, in terms of communication and how we can build on that. And you came across some points talking about certain connections that we can make with local section, how we can grow that. But I have seen, as someone who's been part of ESN now for the best part of a year and a half, I will keep this short, I do promise you, because now you're looking at me as I'm crazy. But I would just like to know, do you see there a great potential in growing the network of ESN Sweden? Because I do think everyone in this room sees the great potential that it does have. What can be done, truly, what can be done from a start to a finished level in the next year? Hope that's concise enough. I apologize if it's not. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question. In terms of growth, there are a lot of things we are growing in. For example, with a recent project like the International Erasmus Games, I think that's something we recently engaged in because we believe that people are already doing this on a local level, like just organizing sports events or activities. And within the network, we already have this huge event that we in Eastern Sweden can profit from by connecting us to it and providing not only our volunteers but also students to see a part of ESN and maybe volunteer and that way grow in some sense. There is a lot to develop there, but the main thing is I want to engage in things that we're already good in and I have interest in, because within our network we have so many things we can do, but we need to realize what we are good in, what we want to do, what we want to specialize in, and communicate that with the sections if they want to do it, and see how we can contribute it and how we can, how we say that, use it to grow and develop ourselves in the network at the same time. If that was.
Someone else?
Taha, yes, and Lund.
Yeah, happened to me.
Taha, yes, and Lund. You are now living in Groningen in Netherlands. So how do you see living there affecting your responsibilities and your work as communication manager?
Yes, I've been living in Netherlands since end of December now. So I've been doing my work for 3 months abroad. It has not really affected my work. If it comes to physical meetings, it's of course a challenge. I have to find either cheap flights or take the glorious night bus. So I will take the glorious night bus for free, apparently. But in terms of work, my work is communication, so it's very long distance. I have set office hours, I have a physical space I go to and work at, and I've never noticed any difference from being inside my room in Malmo or being in a cafe in Groningen. Physical meetings, yes, that's going to be definitely a challenge I have to face, but the general work in itself, it doesn't change like at all. I am closer to Brussels, so if there's something there, international event-wise, then that's a plus. And networking with the Netherlands, also that could be seen as a plus of me being there. So different ways to look at.
Thank you. Someone else? So I would say we can close the speaker list. Anyone against? Abstain? Okay. The speaker list is closed. Thank you, Mary. And good luck.
So, for the web project administrator candidacy, as you know, like the candidate is not here physically, he wasn't able to attend the meeting, so we asked him to record a video. So we will show the video, and we will have an informal question round if you want to ask questions in the Facebook group of the meeting. So like, I know this is not the best solution, but this is what we managed to achieve in order to give to Ahmed the opportunity to introduce himself and also to you to ask him some questions. And Jonathan?
In terms of questions being asked, when can we expect a response?
I would say maximum tomorrow morning. So like maybe you can write questions this evening, and we will give him a deadline, like for sure before you will have to vote. So like the votes will be on Sunday, and I would say that it would be nice to have the answers tomorrow morning,
Okay.
maximum. Does it work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry again, but like unfortunately, Ahmed has a last minute problem, and this is what we have. So we are ready to show you the video. Did we check the audio?
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope the MB is going fine. Greeting from a very slippery town in the middle of Sweden. My name is Ahmed and I am the candidate for the webmaster position. One of them, I hope. And this is just a short video to introduce myself and talk about myself a little bit. I apologize for not being able to participate in the MP personally. I had some planning conflicts. So this video hopefully will be a replacement for me being there physically. I did my master degree in Lul University of Technology in the North for 2 years. And during those 2 years I was part of ESN Lulio for 1.5 years, I think. Yeah, that's true. I mainly participated in the activities, organizing the events, being responsible for some of the trips that we organize every semester for the exchange students. But I also took care of the website and parts of the IT related stuff. So the website, ESN, what is it called? Satellite, and the administration and the upgrades and making sure that the website is working functionally, everything is working good, and then supporting the section with some of the other IT and technical stuff that they might need from time to another. Nothing too exciting, I would say. Normal IT work, normal computer administration stuff. I do have a background in computer science. I have a bachelor degree in network, a master in information security, and I work in a job that's also closely related to those two things. So dealing with computers and configuration and administration is part of my daily job, I would say, for the time being. And that's why I think I will be a very suitable candidate for this position, because I have all the knowledge that I need to actually do the job. I have the background experience about ESN and how it functions, how things work around and so on. And I also like to help students a lot, since I got a lot of help from ESN really when I first started my master, and that made my life so much easier. Now I think it would be a nice thing to contribute to the same organization that allows the sections to provide that kind of help for new students who might be choosing Sweden for their exchange studies in the upcoming future. And I'm very excited to be part of the bigger ESN after spending some time on a local section. So that's basically who I am, what I do, what's my background, and something here and there. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I would say you can get the email from the MB chairs. I wouldn't be available during the Skype call, sadly, because I have another meeting at the same time. But I'm always around to answer questions through email or any other communication method. I hope you have a good day and see you soon, hopefully.
Where you can publish your questions.
Thank you very much. So like for the WPA, this is it for now, and I would like to invite Ellen for her candidacy as ESN CBOT coordinator.
I'm super nervous, so sorry if I speak too fast or if I mix something up. I will take the time, or just let me know. Yeah. So oh wait, can I have this clicker thingy? That would be good. Nice. All right. So, who am I, and if so, how many? My name is Ellen Weiler, not Ellen Rafe in real life. I'm the Vice President and local representative of ESN Baku since May 2017. I'm currently doing my marketing master, and I will be done in the end of May if everything works out. I love to dance. I love music and socializing. I annoyed all of you already, so you know the socializing part at least. And I have a huge background in event management I will talk about in a bit. And sorry, Javed, but I already attended some C-Battle editions. It was 4 so far. Yeah, by the way, all the pictures are from C-Battle editions. Yeah, can you spot me on the picture from the last edition? Oh, there she is. Yeah, so I want to talk about my experience a bit. As mentioned, I'm an ESN backer for quite some time. I will leave the local section because we are not allowed to stay in the local board when we are graduating, so yeah. And I did a lot of things, not only related to regular vice president and local representative tasks, but I was also a lot involved with social Erasmus, exchangeability, some parts in communication before we got our lovely Sophia, and also some other like leadership tasks and so on. And I'm also a happy member of the Swedish Communication Committee. Yes, so I'm doing graphic design and videos and so on. Yeah, I have been attending a lot of ESN events already. So I forgot to mention that before, sorry. I'm counting in everything that is happening this semester to make it easier. So if you see now it's like 5 C-Battles and so on, I'm counting in the ones where it's confirmed that I'm participating this semester. So I participate in 3 training events, 2 cooperates, I hope to see most of you, and 1 motivate. I went to 5 NPs, 4 times as a local representative and 1 time as part of the chairing team in the NP of ESN Lithuania. Also as LR, to represent my section I went to 2 Northern European platforms, and now in counting in Thessaloniki to 2 AGMs. And in total, with this semester, it will be 5 C-Battle editions. 1 was in 2015, autumn semester. It was also called the Puke edition, not because we were so drunk, but because the boat was really shaking a lot because of the waves. And then the other times I participated as local coordinator and group leader. Yeah. It's not working. Did I break something? Sorry. Yeah, as mentioned before, I have quite some experience with event management already. So SMV, that will probably not tell you anything, but it's a student organization for the gymnasium, so before you graduate. And I was really active there already, volunteering, organizing a lot of events, also really big projects that we had there. I did internships that were in the event management area as well. So I was working, doing an internship in Mercedes, and also one for half a year in Bosch, where I was leading a roadshow for 3 countries. Yeah, in my hometown in Germany, I went and did like a really big event series where I was the main organizer. It was a FIFA European Championship simulation. In case some people of you are interested in gaming, it was quite fun. And we had an after party or after event, and this is how I got to know the owners of a club also located in my hometown in Germany. And they were so surprised about this 18-year-old me organizing a lot of stuff. So they made me their marketing manager, and I was doing that for several years. I was not only responsible for the marketing, promotion, and leading the promotion team, but also I had my own ideas for events, and we had really big events there as well. So I was also involved in that. Then when I someone in 2015 made my way to Sweden, I also got involved being in the board of the student pub in Växjö, and I was the event manager there. So I was organizing 2 parties every week, plus some additional ones, also with different themes and so on. And of course, in ESN Växjö, I also organized a lot of events, either as part of the working groups or also mainly responsible for some events there. Yes, soft skills. So I do have soft skills, obviously. I would say like the ones that are worth mentioning that I also gained through all this experience here is leadership, being really good with project management, because this is what you have to be able to do when you're organizing such big events. Yeah, another picture from Sea Battle. I don't think look really. Don't mess with us. So now you might ask yourself the question, why me? I asked myself the question as well before I applied. And here are some question cards that will turn around. Can you scroll so that it doesn't know it's spoiling something now? No, not the other direction. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I, as mentioned, have been attending editions of Sea Battle, and I would say that I have gained really a lot of experience, not only in being a local coordinator and so on, but I asked Javed so many annoying questions about why is it like this, what is this, what was the intention behind this, not to annoy him, but just because I was curious about certain things. So I also gained experience from different perspectives, being a participant where I didn't have a clue what ESN was back then, and then also the organizational part. So I would say this can be really beneficial. Yeah, as mentioned, I think extensively enough, I have experience in event management. That can also be beneficial, of course. And also in general, like based on the previous experiences I made in ESN and in other organizations, there are also other skills like leadership and communication and so on, and also like marketing. I have background because of the studies and so on, that can be beneficial for the position of the ESN Sea Battle coordinator. Yes, I have a lot of great ideas. My time is nearly over, so I don't want to go too much into detail. But so, for example, I think, first of all, the current OC and Javed did an amazing job so far, and I think I'm really excited for the next edition already that is coming up. And I think, of course, there's always still things that can be a little bit improved. So I had, for example, the idea to have free earplugs to give out in the welcome bags, because we always talk about it should be healthy and not only partying, but also drinking enough water.
I don't want to interrupt you, but go to the
Yeah.
conclusion.
Okay, so I have this idea and some... Okay, just go to... That's fine. No. Yeah, sorry. But I will be here all the time. You can ask me more questions. I know also what I think is really important, apart from I think you get the point that I'm super enthusiastic about this, is I know how important Sea Battle is for ESN Sweden, not only from the financial perspective, but in general, like it's so much about our reputation, our picture in ESN and so on. So I'm really up for the challenge. And yeah, now you can conclude. Wait, I skipped. Last picture. That's a promotional picture from ESN Norway for Sea Battle. Yeah. So yeah, just ask me questions, or not only now, but also when you want to approach me later, go for it. Thank you for listening.
So, the speaker list is open.
The staff is named there.
Thank you, Mary. Jonathan, yes, and Mama. So, in terms of C battle, and the feedback I've gotten from students who've gone to these events over the last 2 years, and having spoken to those who've also participated as group leaders, and whatever the case may be, there has been a negative side to C battle in terms of its safety. I don't like to talk about these topics because they are quite negative, and C battle should be promoted, and it is promoted as a very exciting time for students who are only here for a short while. But in the past there have been issues where students, preferably female, have felt a little bit unsafe. From what I've experienced, from what I've been told in my section, I'm not sure how it is in other sections, but in short, what can we do to promote the event in a more safer manner, so those can feel as if they're safe? Essentially, I won't blab on anymore. I think you get to understand the question.
You're talking about sexual harassment?
Sexual harassment, use of drugs, things like these kind of things. How do we kind of put more of a cap on these things to make it more of a safer event for students in the future?
Thank you so much for the question. This is an aspect that I personally haven't heard of that much yet. I think in general, when something like this happens, it's always important that either the students who are participating or the local sections actually give this feedback to the OC. I'm not sure whether this has happened or not because I'm not part of the OC currently. So yeah, just in this regard, of course, it's really important to know what the situation is so that it can be dealt with in a proper manner. I think, of course, maybe it makes sense to have it more visible, like that there are people that you can talk to, the guards, and some more group leaders and so on, walking around, checking on these kind of situations. As an outsider, it's always really difficult to understand whether this is just maybe a drunk couple or who are together and where it's okay when the guy maybe grabs the ass of the girl, or whether this is sexual harassment. It's really difficult if you don't know the people to see this. So I think it really has to be a safe space where people can approach leaders during the edition to talk about this so that it gets solved. And I think in general, maybe this is also something that can be targeted regarding the promotion, to just put more emphasis on it, but not phrasing it in a way that it sounds like we expect people to do sexual harassment, please don't do that. I haven't heard about this, so I'm not really sure whether it was participants or other people.
Yeah, when they come.
You can be in central links with the list again. If it's like a communication, yes.
Yeah, well, I think that definitely, just quickly comment on that. People look at group leaders as, can you hear me okay? Or is it?
No, it's for the
okay, yeah, my
like,
apologies.
not for,
My apologies. Just in short.
I think people look at group leaders as those who are kind of like a police in a way, going around checking each room, because as we all know, when we look at every room, well, most rooms to say the least, they are full of students drinking. Of course, they're to have a good time, and although that's not promoted as such, it is a common fear that a lot of those rooms, though we don't know exactly what you said, you may bring a point, it could be just a couple having a good time. It's very hard to put a ring on it, but I would like to see, personally myself, more done. And of course I do agree with you again that it's hard to hear these things because people don't usually talk about it, because it's an ultimate taboo to not talk about these things. But I think it has to start from a very local section and build to a national trust where it says to people that, okay, these things do need to be spoken about and need to be put in people's faces, because people have to be told that it's not right. Simple as.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I agree that it should totally be a safe area, and I think honestly we're putting so much effort into promoting C-Battle with also the new branding and so on, and the worst thing that can happen after finally managing to not have it branded as only party, drunk, having sexual intercourse event, but like we want to have a social event, we want to have people meeting and so on. The worst thing that can happen after building up such a serious and nice and positive image that we have now is that people say, hey, I got sexually harassed at sea battle. It's horrible, honestly, and I think this shouldn't happen at all. And I think, I don't know, I mean, there's not really possibilities to report something anonymously, because like on an app or whatever during sea battle, because you don't have internet. But I think this could be communicated in advance, also not only with the group leaders and so on, but also that they tell their participants, and that there's just a person they know they can go to ask or to say, hey, I got sexually harassed by that person.
I think it's clear.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much covered. But the thing is, so basically, Ellen has not been in the OC. What is?
Do you have a question to Ellen, or?
No, conclusion, but it's pretty much concluded, so we can talk later.
Exactly. Taha?
No, actually, I have a question.
You have a question.
So, my real question, not a comment, is since I'm the head of OC now, I took over last year. So, my first edition where I OC'd was last year, as you know, and implementing changes at once is difficult. But one thing that we are going to implement, or I'm going to implement right now, is that we're going to create kind of an alumni network of the OCs, because one thing that has been very difficult in the past is to keep that knowledge between people, basically. Would you, if you become elected as the new coordinator, would you be welcoming knowledge from predecessors, or would you be like, how would you feel about that topic?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Javid. I think it's a good thing to implement this, because I also experienced in the local level that sometimes it just happens that knowledge gets lost on the way when you have handovers, and then you just forget to mention something, or maybe there was something that wasn't a topic for several years and then suddenly it's coming up again. So we actually make use out of that in our local section as well. There we also have an alumni group for previous board members, and when we have a question about something that we don't really know the answer to, or we want to hear opinion from other people who are not in the current board, we also use this kind of group. So I think in general it's a really good idea to do this, and to not only benefit from the knowledge that the current OC has, and hope that everyone got a good handover, especially when maybe there's a position not filled for some time, and then you elect someone, and then it's like, oh, can they still get a handover properly done, and so on. I think it's a really good idea. And just in general, as we talked before as well, I'm not the kind of person who wants to revert all the good changes that have been done before. There are maybe some topics where I have like a little bit of a different opinion on, but I think in general the direction that that you guys went in so far is really good, and I'm really happy if I get the chance to continue going in that direction. So I think the alumni is a good idea.
Taha, yes, hello. I want to ask you about, if you get elected, what's your approach for more partners, other countries, mostly the Balkans and Poland? Would you pursue that, or are you just going to work on other stuff, and then if they join, and they don't, it's up to them?
Was your question just about the countries, or also about
what's
partners?
What's your policy towards having more the countries coming back or not, or what's your plan for that?
Yeah. I think in general it's always, of course, something positive when this project is expanding and when there are more countries joining. Nevertheless, I think it shouldn't go too fast, because there has also there needs to be some infrastructure implemented. So, for example, now we have ESN UK joining. Then maybe there are some plans to expand into other countries as well. Of course, also depending on how available and how interested these other countries are, the people who are in charge there. But I think the issue with this is, now already with UK, imagine how long they are traveling to Stockholm to get to the starting point, just to have like basically a 2 ferry or 2.5 ferry trip between two cities. So I think what would have to be done, if there is a possibility to expand this more into other regions and ESN, to have the pre-event in a bigger scale and basically have a small Stockholm trip before the actual sea battle happening, so that it's worthy for the people to travel there. So I think this has to go hand in hand. And I mean, I'm not really sure who the contact people in the different countries would be. Probably they also have some new people elected, and this is something that I would have to look into more in detail. But I think in general it's good to expand, not that much in the POPs region, to try, because I think that's always the problem. Like, we don't want to steal people from POPs and then they steal them back from us and so on. It's like maybe more in like the southern regions compared from Swedish perspective. But I think Poland, for example, I don't know how accessible it is. That would have to be something I need to look more in detail.
Okay.
But I think that's also when they're interested.
Sunny is in Denmark. Now you mentioned pop. What? Now that you mentioned pops yourself, I wanted to ask, now that Scanbell is sort of emerging into being time travels as well, if you see any future possible collaboration with pops.
Yeah, I'm not the first person to think about this. I remember at the last AGM where I was approaching the responsibles of POPs and being like, hey guys, how about let's merge this at some point? And Javid had the same idea. I don't know what happened, whether probably it's like too big and too difficult to put it in practice. If there is some kind of possibility, yes. I think in general, it's just important that we don't see C-Battle and POPs that much as competitors, because I mean, we both want to organize a great event, we both want the students to have a good time and to socialize and just have really nice memories of this experience. So it's not like we are companies who are working against each other trying to sell their product. So I think if there's a possibility to have a collaboration, especially now, I don't know what it will look like with time travels, supporting C-Battle and so on, but if they would have, if both events would have the same partners, then of course it makes it even easier to have these kind of collaborations. But then again, the question has to be asked, where do we start and where do we go with C-Battle to make it as accessible as possible for everyone?
Eric, yes, I'm Göteborg. Congratulations on being about to finish your masters. Super exciting. What do you plan to be doing next year outside of ESN?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So as mentioned, I will not be able to be in ESN Baku anymore, and this is currently taking a lot of my time. So this time can be invested in ESN C-Battle coordinator in case I get elected. Apart from that, of course, I mean, I don't live from love and air, how we used to say in Germany. So of course I somehow have to earn money. But I'm planning on searching for a job in Sweden and stay there. And currently it doesn't look like I will be gone like in end of May. I'm like, yeah, goodbye, and I'm going to, I don't know, China or something. I will for sure, sorry Alice. I will for sure stay in Europe. My plan is Sweden, and then we have to see. But I will definitely have enough time for the position.
We have one last comment.
Yeah, just on the hi. Just only to comment to Suzanne.
Can you state your name?
I'm Annie Time Travels. So just commenting from Suzanne's question that about Scanbalt and Time Travels merging. I think once again to repeat that I don't know like how much Scanbalt was involved in C-Battle or yes in Sweden organizing the C-Battle, but POPs are not organized by Time Travels, and that has nothing to do with that. We're just only like partnering with helping them to organize for like other purposes, like for example having them like the website and stuff like that, but has nothing to do with that.
Thank you. Okay, so if there is no one else, the speaker list is closed. Someone against? Abstain? Perfect. So the speaker list is closed. Thanks a lot, Abby.
Yeah.
And
Please
bye.
approach me.
Okay, guys. So now we have the coffee break. If for the seat, okay, and Marcus also had something to add.
Super quickly, as you noticed, we have some quite important vacant positions in National Board, Treasurer and Vice President.
without the treasurer, I don't know what's going to happen next year. So please emphasize to your local section that, so look for our open call. Yeah.
And right now we will have the coffee break. The coffee break will last for 20 minutes. And afterwards, we will have two sessions. So the first session will be the same session divided into rooms. So we can be divided according to the sections, maybe alphabetically, because it's like expectation towards Eastern Sweden and the board. And in order to have let's say closest session, you will be divided. So we can also the first 1, 2, 3, 4 lines will be in the group 1.
Okay, so I have a proposal to keep this. I have no idea what you guys have planned, but I suspect that you would want a discussion during these workshops. So I suggest that each section just tries to split their members between the two different groups.
Perfect. Like if you can manage it in order to have two balanced groups, it's great. So agree between section members to split in two groups. As you can see, the room already clear. And afterwards, we will have your Meet Your Colleagues session. We will have a president, vice president, local representatives, treasurers, and communication managers. You also have the room. Anyway, you will come during the interactive session to tell you when it's time to change room.
Question for the second round of interruption. There's only 4 positions. But if I know that there's other positions here, like maybe WPA or event manager or target manager. Where should we go?
You should follow the community that you prefer. It's more community than position. So this is what we agree with the board, to choose for the main communities. So for the people that are not covering one of these positions, they can go, for example, if they're interested in international level also, they can go with the local representative and the vice president. So it's more about communities. I hope it's clear. Do you have some questions? No. Okay, so you are free to go to the coffee break, and you, after the coffee break, you will go directly to the session rooms. Okay? Yes? We will go. Good question. After the Meet Your Colleagues session, we will have to come back here for the closing announcements from the C and from the board. Okay, have a nice coffee break. Thank you.
This is the ham. This is the operating room. Yeah.
We're just gathering quite quickly to look at expectations.
Will you be in my team?
Which team are you in?
External relations. Training.
What do you mean external relations?
It's my role in the OT for AGM Sweden.